Hey there, everybody. I'm Mike DeLisio.
And I'm Chris Yee.
And today we're going to be taking a look at Onoda, coming from Salt and Pepper Games and designer Paco Gradille. I hope that's close. And this is a game that is based upon a real event in history, one that maybe doesn't get quite as much notice as some of the other big events in history, but it's certainly an interesting story, wouldn't you say, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those items that if you look into the history of World War II, Hiro Onoda, the soldier who was kind of stationed to do like guerrilla warfare in the Lubang Island of the Philippines, continued to carry out his mission 29 years after the end of World War II. I think that this has a very interesting theme, and I think it's handled in a way that's, I think, respectful, as many historical games kind of tackle these types of things.
For sure. Well, Chris is going to show us how this game plays, and then we'll come back here and we'll let you know what we think.
Here's Onoda on the table. This is a solitaire solo game that's played over the course of 6 rounds of play. The goal is to stay alive to the very end and then evaluate how effective you were in your mission. You can lose the game instantly if your health ever drops down to 0, if your paranoia ever increases all the way to 10, or at any point if your health drops below your paranoia or your paranoia increases over your health. You will have to do a paranoia check. If you fail that at that point, then Hiro Onoda gives up on his mission as well as gives up on his life. So the goal is to survive the 6 rounds, then see how well you did. This token here represents Hiro Onoda himself and his companions in the camp. You are trying to get food tokens to survive and stay well fed. You are trying to accomplish missions, over here represented by this card and this token, in order to increase your honor for higher endgame scoring, and you are trying to stay alive. Each round you'll take a number of actions. That's completely up to you. One of the most common actions is to move. When you move, you simply move the hero marker, and then you add an alarm to the region that you moved into. You will always add an alarm into a region at the end of every action that you do. Moving is the most simple one. The second type of action that you can do is to try to get more of these food resources to be able to feed yourselves for the round. To do this, you will do a token pull from the bag. There are tokens in this bag ranging from 0 up to 6. You pull out a token to see if you were able to exceed the number of alarm in that region. If you did, then you're able to raid some food. You'll pull out a different token over here and add this to your supply. Your goal is to end the round with 2 food for Hiro, and then at least 2 food for each of your companions. If they are exhausted or injured, then they'll require more sustenance. So at the after doing that, you will then flip over an event card every time that you raid for food, try to repair one of your equipment, or try to complete the mission, the other 3 actions beyond moving. When you reveal these cards, there are 3 types. There are the instant effects, in which case you'll simply do what is stated on the card right away. There are cards that you can hold on to and use for benefit later in the game, whenever you want. Or there are round effects, the effects that will be in place for the rest of the round. This one, because Kozuka was injured, he's going to slow down your movement, and so you'll have to do one of these tests every time that you want to move. You can get rid of this by using, for example, your medical equipment to get rid of this card, or simply get rid of this card by increasing your paranoia. So, for example, if I revealed this card right away, I could choose to deactivate this military fatigues, the equipment, and then I could draw another token from the bag and add it to my supply over here. You see I got rid of a 0, which is great for tests, and then I have enough food here for the round. So as you do these actions, ending each action by placing out another one of these alarm tokens, you can do other things as well. So for example here, if I moved into the 500 region, I move and I add this. I could also try to repair this equipment, and I do the exact same type of test. Oh, and by the way, these tokens always get returned to the bag at the end of each action. So I pull out another token. I was not able to repair this because I did not exceed the amount of alarm. And so when you fail a basic test like this, in the first 3 rounds, you're going to decrease your health. In the last 3 rounds, you're going to increase your paranoia. This represents them struggling to survive the first several years and then being better, but having to survive the paranoia more so over the the last several decades, last several years of their time on the island. The last type of action you can do is when you move into the region with the quest marker, the goal marker, you can attempt to do this action. You'll do the exact same thing. You're going to pull a token from the bag. You'll see if you exceed the alarm in the region, and because I do, I passed this part here, and I can also deactivate my one of my equipment in order to succeed at the mission. Every mission that you succeed at increases your honor tracker and then gives you other types of benefits as well. And then when you are done with the round, what you'll do is you'll move back into the Kiampu region where your camp is, and you will declare that you are done taking actions for the round. You can take as many actions as you want, but you're going to be adding more alarm out here. When you finish the round, the first thing that you'll do is you will remove one of these alarm tokens from every region on the map, decreasing the total alarm out there. Second, you're going to check to see if you have enough food, 2 for yourself, and then however much your companions require. In this case, I need 6 food, which I do have, so I'm covered there. Each food you do not have, you would lose health. Any additional food that you have can be spent to remove alarm from the different regions, maximum of 1 per region at the end of a round. And then you're going to reset all the tokens into the bag. You're going to set out another objective for the next round, and you'll move the clock forward. So as you go through this, at the end of the 6 rounds of play, you're going to evaluate your total score. If you don't die somewhere along the way, then you go to final scoring at the end of the 6th round. Here you're going to see that every honor, every mission you've completed will give you 10 points. Every one of your surviving companions on the healthy side is also 10 points. 5 points per each equipment that you have activated on your board. 10 points per health, minus 10 points for each level of paranoia that you have. Based on that, you'll go to the chart here, and you'll see what the story outcome is for Hiro and his companions. So there you go. That's an idea of how you play Onoda.
All right, so there you see Onoda, a game that is a historical setting, and as you kind of alluded to before we showed the overview, Chris, it does appear, and this is not only through things that were in the rule book, but also just through the way the game is kind of done mechanically, that they put a lot of time and effort into making sure that the theme is handled in a respectful way. There's historical notes in the rule book. This is a game that deals with some pretty heavy ideas, and I think that it can be a relatively delicate line to walk when you cover historical themes that have some elements of, the horrors of war involved.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that there is, for example, when they talk about the end game scoring, right? You're tracking your honor, right? And it makes a note in there like honor is not to justify say good job or anything like that. And I think that historical games do usually a very good job of presenting this type of nuance. I think that it's a theme that I find incredibly fascinating. It's tragic. It's 29 years of this person's life that he spent fighting a war that was no longer a war, fighting for something that was not actually a reality anymore. And yet it's also an interesting tale of human survivalism and everything. It's represented mechanically very interestingly through some of the core mechanisms as well as those event cards and everything that pop up. So on par with a lot of other Salt and Pepper games, great production, great theming, great research into it and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll kind of maybe just briefly touch on all of those things. Let's start with the production because that's pretty easy to kind of discuss. I think, as you mentioned, that it's a very, very nice production. It is a solo-only game in a relatively small box. It's kind of in line with the Salt and Pepper Games boxes. But within that box, you're getting oversized cards. You're getting, nice bags with drawstrings. You're getting screen-printed wooden pieces. All of this you saw in the overview, but really nicely done. I also wanted to point out the art in the game. Javi De Castro, the artist on the box here, and really striking. It's striking art. It has kind of this graphic novel style appearance to it, and I just think that it really looks good on the table.
One thing to note, too, that on the box here, it has the name of the designer, the illustrator, as well as, I believe, who's the graphic designer, João Duarte Silva. And I think that those elements all tie together, graphic design as well as the art itself, to kind of create that historical comic book or graphic novel type setting. This is a different illustrator than has done several of the previous games. They've worked with Meeple Foundry, they've worked with Albert Montes, and I think that Salt and Pepper has this really great knack for finding these artists who create a common art style so they feel cohesive. All the games in this small box historical line feel very similar presentation-wise. And that's a huge compliment because they always look great. In this game particularly, those huge wooden screen-printed pieces are very easy to track on the board. The whole game production lends itself to make the gameplay easy. It's a pretty fairly simple gameplay loop as well. I don't know if you wanted to jump on, or before we jump into that, if there's something else you want to dive into, Mike.
No, we can go right into the gameplay, the kind of the mechanics that drive it, and the kind of the driving factor, the driving mechanical engine, I suppose, is this bag chit pulling from the bag, where you're going to be doing checks for most of the actions, everything except moving. You have to kind of do a check, and it's going to be based upon comparing a number you pull from the bag versus the number of alert tokens that are in the particular area that you're in. And for almost everything you're doing, you are putting an alert token out there. So it's this system of kind of mitigating the actions you're taking versus the checks that you're doing, because you could take as many actions as you want. And I think that is an interesting twist to this game. That's one thing that makes it feel different from other games I've played like this, is this idea that you're not limited in the number of actions you can take, but every time you do it, you're making it more difficult to complete the checks. And so I like that push-pull.
You're also making it harder at the start of next round. You look at it and go, oh, there's alert tokens everywhere. Last round, Chris was an idiot. And so I like that you're balancing not just right now, but also kind of the long term. And I've definitely done very poorly in this game by pushing too much too early and realizing, oh, it's okay occasionally to go without a little bit of food for a round or something, And so I think, that's an incredibly clever part of it. And then I really like the events system. Every time you do an action besides movement, you also draw an event card, and those can be, a range of things. And it is definitely an element of the game where there's going to be a lot of luck, right? One, with a token pull, you might just do really poorly one round and get injured a lot. But also those event cards, there are 60, I believe, or so in that deck, and some of them hurt you, some of them are boons, some of them are going to, have these like round long, slow you down for the whole round kind of a thing. So I think that your experience with the game from one game to the next, because of the order those event cards come out, it's gonna greatly impact how lucky you kind of felt on there. It's appropriate for the theme, for sure, of surviving with very minuscule resources, very few companions and everything. But I think that you need to know going into this game that it is pretty high on the luck spectrum, I would say.
Yeah, echoing that, it's high on the luck continuum for me. It clearly is, but like you said, the theme does kind of mitigate that to an extent. It may be not enough depending upon your taste for randomness in a game, but this is a game that is highly random. You're pulling random chits from a bag. You've got random event cards that are happening, and like you said, you really can't plan or account for many of these things. It really becomes more an exercise in how do I deal with these things. How do I handle these crises? And sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you just get a tremendous run of bad luck and you're not going to be successful. And it can happen relatively early too. I've had a few games of this where it ended relatively quickly because there was just a cascading of, effect of things going poorly. But so you do have to be aware of that. And so that could be a slight negative. I think that it is, a little bit on that high end of randomness. And the other thing is that you were mentioning that core loop of the gameplay is very simple. And I think that it is a game that is relatively small in scope, right? You're not doing anything tremendously different. It's kind of like this rinse and repeat cycle of, okay, well, I've got this particular mission. If I'm going to be going for the mission, I know I need to get there. I need to do what it says. I need to get food. I need to do this. I need to do that. So I guess what I'm saying is that I wonder if the decision space is a little bit limited here because you're kind of driven by what you have to do rather than choosing what you want to do, if that makes sense.
It is not a sandbox game. You have pretty small focus, and now I think the decision space comes in what we talked about before, right? How much are you going to push? Are you going to just eat one round and say like, I'm not getting enough food. I'm going to take some damage, but I'm just going to not flood the board with a bunch of alert tokens and then ruin my next round. So you have that decision space. Are you going to complete the mission or not? This is one of the few games I've seen where that's an option. You don't have to do it before you call it around. You might just say, there's no way I'm making a map of the airstrip. It's just not going to work out. I have enough food, and that's it. That's all I'm comfortable with, right? And so I think that does help. And then, as you said, the theme. I really like that this game presents its theme so much, and for me, it's an experiential game, not a puzzle game. If you want a solo puzzle game, go play something like the Stellarium, or what was one of the recent Impatience games, like Onoda?
Stellarium. Yeah, Stellarium was one of them, sure.
Yeah, the one with the machines and stuff. Like that one is like an amazing, amazing puzzle with low experience factor. This kind of flips that. It's low puzzle, high experience factor. So it depends what you want out of a 30-minute solo game, I think.
That's actually a great distinction, Chris. I hadn't considered it that way, but I think that's spot on. This is definitely more of an experiential game than it is a puzzle. It's not. You're kind of going through this process, and it's interesting. The kind of the standard way to play the game is to have those event cards in a just random order. You shuffle the deck, essentially. But there is a way to play it, kind of the historical variant, where you can play things that are kind of in the order as they happen. And so I think that even more highlights that this is a game really where you are kind of going through this experience, that is supposed to somewhat model the experience that Onoda himself went through. So, yeah, I really like that distinction. Did you have anything you wanted to kind of cover before we get to final thoughts?
I don't think so. I think I'm good to go to final thoughts, and I think I'll lead off, Mike, if that's okay.
Sure.
All those things factored in together, right? I have a lot of fun with this game. It's a half hour that I think is well spent. Even though there's a lot of luck, and it's, like I said, kind of a focused game, I think that it's a great way of presenting a cool historical event. Let me clarify, a cool way of presenting a historical event, not a cool historical event.
Right.
People got hurt. Obviously, this person went through a lot himself, and so I think that it's an interesting story, and it's a good game, so I'm giving it a 7.5. I enjoy playing it. It's one that I could see pulling out every once in a while. I think that other games that this company has done, I think of like Resist or Witchcraft, are stronger puzzle elements and have that experiential factor. So I have rated those games much higher. But this one as is, I really like what it does while recognizing what it doesn't do. So a 7.5 for me, one that I enjoy playing.
We're actually very close, Chris. I'm coming at a 7. It's a game that I recommend because I do think that it feels unique amongst solo games because it is it plays differently. It has certain things that I'm like, okay, I don't remember really seeing a game like this, any number of actions really, and you kind of have to kind of control yourself, player-driven number of actions and things along those lines. But you're right. I think that what kind of keeps it from going higher is that typically when I'm playing a solo game, I want something that is a little bit more of like problem solving rather than just kind of mitigation. And this feels more like a mitigation type game. And your mileage may vary. You may love that style of game. And if so, this is one you definitely need to check out. I still think you should check it out just in the sense that it is a really nice production, a very interesting historical theme, handled responsibly and well. And it doesn't feel like every other solo game. There is a tremendous amount of luck, and I do feel like sometimes the game drives you rather than you're driving the game, so it doesn't go up into the upper echelon of the solo games I play, but one I certainly recommend. I think that it's a unique style of game.
All right, well, there you go. High score 7.5, giving Onoda a seal of approval from us here at the Dice Tower, saying that's a solo game that you might want to check out. One last note here, folks. We are grateful for all the people who've supported us on our GameFound campaign. And so we'd like to give a quick shout out here to Sarah Mari, to Monica Elita Forcell, and Channing Jones. Thank you for the support, for helping us make more reviews like this. Viewers like you. I just came up with that on the spot, Mike.
That's brilliant. Let's trademark that while we still have a chance.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for coming out to this review of Onoda. My name is Chris Yee.
I'm Mike DeLisio.
And have fun surviving.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.